Okay, Bomb Blog, another one of the World of Tanks videos with tank destroyers and being more aggressive with them. Of course, as a casual player, you try to figure out the things that can help your win rates and help you figure out how to play. And being someone who only plays maybe 1 to 5 times a week, little things that can help you are great. So I've been trying to slowly take my big tank destroyer and figure out how to be a little bit more aggressive in it and change the tide of the battle. So we talked about some in a grand battle in episode 2 and episode 1. Kind of one where mid battle I went from sitting back and cover to being a little more aggressive to get the victory. So now let's look at one where I go almost completely offensive, almost like a heavy tank. And we're going to see how that fares with this tank. And the T110E4, it has some armor. I wouldn't consider it quite as aggressive as like a T95 or something like that, or a turtle. Something that has a lot of frontal armor. Because it's still got a lot of weak spots, and if you put yourself out there, you will just get shredded. The tank's big strong point, the gun, but I can bounce some stuff, and I found that you put a decent angle on it, you've got a shot, and you can change the tide of the battle. So this one with a tank destroyer, a lot of times you'd head south and find a perch to shoot across, and all the heavies would go into that kind of town area to the top. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm kind of thinking about it. I was like, on a roll, being aggressive, what do we want to do? My first thought was, I'm going to go sit behind these heavies and see if I can almost just be like a DPM add some damage per minute behind some of these heavies and see if we can help push the town. And see what happens. I just think I might get more damage in and be more influential doing that. So, let's get into this. So I come in here, and I know they normally come down that chute, so I'm going to kind of keep my tank angled here as I'm kind of looking. I don't see anything. Is he going to come up? Oh, he's going up the top. I don't think I've got a shot of bouncing, but the nice part is keeping angled. They're hurting my tracks, and I'm bouncing things, but I'm being a pain to that guy over there, Greg Vaughn. Excuse me. And I'm like, okay, that didn't work well. What can I do? His sloped upper armor, he is in like the perfect spot. I don't know there's much I can do about him. Even with armor piercing, I was like, that is a slope. And I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I just don't know. You can see me just kind of looking around. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this battle? I look at the south side. It's fine. So I really need to be up here kind of figuring out what to do. And you'll notice on the other side, they've got a bunch of tank destroyers on the other side of the river. So if I went out and around, they would probably be hitting at me. There's also a T-30 out there, which is the predecessor to this tank, which I know has a big tank. And you see me starting to back up, go, well, T-30 or one of those has put in work on this side. And the last thing you want is to let your team get flanked, because that generally means a loss. And I see that guy in the distance. And again, changed his game plan but also bounced his shell. And I'm starting to learn you can play around with this tank and you've got a shot at really influencing a battle. So, I'm kind of trying to maneuver along the edge here and figure out how not to get a T-30 shell, but I think I'm going to end up having to trade with him. Kind of hoping that would sneak through, but the accuracy on this tank at distance is meh. And again, waiting on reloads. So reloads on this tank are really long, which is why I just have gotten in the habit. I tend to switch ammo more on tanks that reload a little bit faster. So I ate a shell from the T-30, but returned the favor, which also makes it a lot less scary to go creeping around that corner because of the fact now other tanks are like, hey, we're not going to get obliterated. And you'll notice everybody starts to come out once that T-30 moves. Oh, we got some issues. And I'm like, okay, wait, everybody left that side. I'm literally just kind of bouncing around trying to figure out how to hold this line. Because you'll notice down to the south, we've got the numbers advantage down there, but they're not moving. And I'm like, what in the crap? Okay. So if this is going to be one, it's going to be one from the top. And I like to kind of at least kind of see what I'm up against. So kind of peeking around, stay in a little cover. You see me just trying to get close enough to see if I proximity spot anything. And I get an SOS down there. So I'm looking back at him like, okay, what can I do about that? It's a heavy. He's got a chunk of hell. But I might be able to go in and give him a... And the guy that was giving me a pain earlier is no longer giving a pain because he didn't get to hide his lower plate at that point. I'm watching this T10 trying to figure out what to do, and he's playing Ring Around the Rosie, and I'm like, I can't play Ring Around the Rosie. I'm just not fast enough. Apparently, we got somebody flipped somewhere. Okay, so that guy's gone. So we need to try to figure out how to cross this bridge. Ooh, he's going to be open on the bridge here in a minute. Just wait for it. And again, we have changed his day. What I'm going to try to do is back up and more expose my tracks to him and not entire body. Because now he's pointing to me. Doesn't matter. We see an artillery running away, so we're going to go find it. Now, in hindsight, I should have switched shells at this point because I could have clicked it now, and maybe by the time I got all the way over there, my shell would have switched. And that's always one of those hard calls I find with this tank is you switch shells, but as soon as you click it to actually force it, by the time I get there, you got to make sure there's enough time that you don't round the corner and not even have a shell in the chamber. And he's going to run forward because I ate the artillery to the face. And I'm like, okay. I think they're back here somewhere. Leopard seems to think otherwise. But my gut tells me he's like back here. So I'm going hunting. Sure enough. And here's the problem of where not having high explosive. I hit him. Just wrong type of shell. One of those mistakes where if you don't play a lot, you make mistakes. But again, I had a big swing in that battle, being aggressive and kind of playing to where the team needed me more than what was safe and easy did wonders. And you look at it, I had what? Almost 3,500 damage, closing in on 2,000 blocked, and I think I had 1,500 spotting. It was a great game for a player that doesn't play very often. So, take what you can, kind of learn some different techniques. and enjoy the game.